Welcome back to the School of the Regista. Today's a Thursday, so we are going to be focusing on leadership trait and leadership concepts that we hope all of our players try to apply to their game and their team and even more than that in their life. And today is especially relevant leadership trait. And it has everything to do with not creating excuses, not blaming teammates, and not feeling like you have no impact on the team, when in fact you can, and only as one player, only as one person, only as one leader, you can actually have a far greater impact than you think. You just have to try. So, again, I lead here with something I think every coach maybe is frustrated with when they hear players give excuses, and I can tell you every time a player gives an excuse, it's so transparent as a coach that it is in response to themselves not feeling great about themselves, or feeling not so great about the mistakes that they made, and not being honest with their own performance. And a lot of times we hear the excuse, you know what, I just wish my teammates were better, or I wish they were more responsible, or I wish they were more skilled, or I wish they took it more seriously. You know, to me, this excuse is really disheartening to hear as a coach, but it's also understandable. We all want to be part of good teams, but how do we do that? Do we just leave the club that we're in and join a new club because they win more games, or go to bigger tournaments? Or are we going to be a player who says, right, I can change things here. I can do it. We have the team to do it, and I'm going to do everything I can to make a difference. And one of the fortunate aspects of leadership, I think, is that moving even a large group of people is not nearly as hard as it initially seems. And in fact, it may be easy, although most people's perception is so far offline that they are apt to fail to make any attempt at all to try to bring about some change. And I'll just tell you a quick little story here to emphasize what I mean. You know, I've worked at a lot of soccer camps, like some overnight soccer camps, and I've attended overnight soccer camps as a player as well. And I distinctly remember one situation where a lot of players got in trouble because they snuck out of their bedrooms and they created an entire mess all over the hallway, all over the common room. And if you've ever been to, you know, a sleepaway soccer camp, you know, you stay in the dorms in a college, and you know, you have these common areas, and the guys just completely trashed the place. And it was really surprising because it was players who on the field and during the camp were very respectful, some of the best players from their clubs and from their schools. And it really just kind of made you wonder, how did all of these seemingly, you know, good people, how were they all so irresponsible with what was going on, and how did they get into so much trouble at a soccer camp? And the simple answer is this: unruly or selfish or lazy people seldom have any cohesion or organization. They do not get together as a group and plan their behaviors and work together. They are individuals going along with the crowd, easily influenced because they are without an agenda and lacking all but circumstantial support. That group at the soccer camp didn't get together beforehand and say, hey, let's make a lot of noise and be disrespectful, or let's break the rules. They could have fallen out of their behavior as easily as they fell into it. In fact, in the midst of any group behavior, there are likely to be many, even those that are most guilty, who are uncomfortable or don't fully agree with what is going on, right? So there are probably a lot of people who who were up to trouble in there, who, while it was happening, probably felt really uncomfortable with what was going on. They simply just needed to be mobilized in a different direction, right? A little push in a different direction would have made all the difference. The scientific name for this phenomenon is phase transition, all right? And the best example of it is a school of fish. And you know a school of fish, right? It's a bunch of fish swimming in the same direction. They're all really close to each other, all swimming in the same direction. They just look like this big one group. But as soon as the leader takes one little turn, the entire group goes with them. And that's what we mean by phase transition. And that's what we mean by groups of people are swayed by one person just changing the direction, especially when they know the underlying factor maybe they don't agree with, right? Maybe they don't agree that going in this direction is the right decision, right? But they're just going to keep going because everybody else is going in that direction. But all it takes is just one person to say, hey, you know what? Let's go over there. Let's do this instead. Okay, I feel much better about that. Let's go. Right? They just need that little push. Everybody, or most everyone, may be uncomfortable with the mounting noise, hysteria, or whatever when people get into trouble or are making bad decisions as a collective group. And they all may be waiting anxiously, eagerly even, for a change, right? And again, when they're out of their rooms and they're breaking the rules, all of them might be hoping one of them says, hey, you know what, this isn't right, let's just go back. Just hoping somebody would say that so they can be like, yeah, you're right, okay, no problem. And again, the school of fish, they don't like where they're going, they're heading into the wrong direction, they're really uncomfortable with it, they're just waiting for that one person to take a turn. Okay. Again, the simple facts are group behavior isn't that hard to change. A leader simply has to be willing to try, to make an effort, right? Change one person, then another, and then suddenly a whole group can change, okay? It's like a domino effect. It's like a bowling pin effect, right? And that's what I have here at the top, right? It's a bowling pin effect. Once you knock one down, the rest are inevitable to fall. But doing nothing is never a valid excuse, okay? And this comes back to the excuse. I wish my teammates were better. And then, you say, I'm only one person, okay? I'm the good player in this team of bad players. What can I do? Doing nothing is not an excuse, all right? A leader has to be willing to take a stand to make it clear what they believe is best. If you are on a team and all of your teammates are not paying attention while the coach is talking, they're not putting in the hustle that they need to, they're not putting in the spirit that they need to for a training session, doing nothing just because you're only one person is never a valid excuse. Then you're just going along with that behavior anyway, right? If you want to be a leader, right, leadership doesn't always work, but failing to try is always ill-advised, okay? So you can try to do something and it might not work, right? Your teammates might not start clapping with you, okay? They might not start working as hard as you in training. They might not start nodding their heads and looking at the coach, but at least you're trying and you're standing up for something that you think and you actually know can work. You just have to be committed to it. Failing to recognize the potential of one voice and of phase transition can be crippling, right? If we don't have that one person, if you can't be that person that stands up and tries to make a change, okay, then you're just going to be that school of fish that keep going in the wrong direction. The best way you can think about it, right, you're trying to change your team dynamic, right, and it can be overwhelming to think about, wow, it's me versus 20 people or 16 people or however many people on your team. But it's not really that, right? It's not usually one versus many. It's actually one versus many ones. It's 1v1, 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 1v1. All with widely varying commitments to the current behavior. Okay? So again, you probably know a lot of your teammates anyway. You know this person is they probably want the same thing as you. You know them pretty well. They're probably going to go along with it if you take a stand and do it. Go to that person first and make a stand and say, this is what we're going to be doing in training. This is how we're going to change it. Get that person. And now all of a sudden, it becomes 2 versus 1 to the next person. And then it's 3 versus 1 to the next person. You keep knocking one down, knocking the next one down. And soon they all start knocking each other down. Right? You gain that momentum. Find the players on your team that, you know what, our team isn't hustling that hard. They're not performing well in training. But you know what? If I talk to this person over here and I talk to this person over here and they buy into what I'm saying, then the rest of the team is going to fall down. Right? They're going to follow suit, and we're going to be the team that we want to be then. Okay? And again, it doesn't take that much work. It just takes a willingness to try. Bowling pins aren't that hard to knock over. Okay? Even if you don't have to be a world-class bowler to go to the bowling alley and knock bowling pins over. Aim for the middle and throw yourself hard into it. Okay? The only failure is the failure to try. Right? If you're going and you're uncomfortable with the way that training is, you feel like your team isn't putting in the best effort, and everybody's just kind of along for the ride in this mediocre training environment, be the one that throws yourself out there. Okay? Yes, it can be scary at first, but I promise you, if you take a stand for what you believe in, and if you feel passionately about changing the team and being a part of a really great team, then you'll see, taking that chance, you will never regret it. Okay? The only thing that you'll regret is that you didn't take that chance. Okay? The only failure is the failure to try. Be willing to put yourself out there. Conquer each bowling pin one at a time.